very much, Tom. And out front now, Democratic Congressman Ted Lieu of California, one of the House impeachment managers, so you've seen a lot of him in recent days. Congressman Lieu, Speaker Pelosi says there's going to be a quote, outside independent 9/11 type commission to investigate what led to the attack on the U.S. Capitol. Let's just be clear, though, you have already laid out the facts in a very damning way to the world and for history, regardless of the vote. Does this add value, or does this just drag this out, add the taint of partisanship? I mean, is it worth it?
Thank you, Erin, for your question. I fully support Speaker Pelosi's creation of the 9/11 Commission. One of the things they're going to find is that Donald Trump incited an insurrection. Leading from that are a whole host of questions that we still don't know yet, such as how do we have such a massive breakdown in security? What other things could the Department of Homeland Security, for example, have done to try to prevent this attack? And there's just a lot of questions we have to delve into and look at the recommendations as how do we make our Capitol even safer. January 6th is a horrific day, and we need to investigate all aspects of it.
So that it was, and you're saying that you proved Donald Trump incited it. There are some, though. There is one Republican senator today who is actually questioning the entire premise of the whole thing, which is whether there was even an armed insurrection to begin with. That's Senator Ron Johnson. I don't know if you've heard this, Congressman. Let me play it for you.
This didn't seem as like an armed insurrection to me. I mean, armed, when you think here of armed, don't you think of firearms? Mm-hmm. Here's questions I would have liked to ask. How many firearms were confiscated? How many shots were fired? I'm only aware of one.
We just actually saw a video of a group of people in full military gear going through. 65 police officers were injured that day. Eyes gouged, fingers lost. Beaten, and yet he says this didn't seem like an armed insurrection to him. What do you say to Senator Johnson?
I'm a former prosecutor, and it's very clear that arms applies to more than just guns. It applies to fire extinguishers, flagpoles, any sort of object that you can use to beat someone's skull in or bash them with, and that's what they did on January 6th. What we're really watching is the radicalization of the Republican base. They're basically following leaders like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Donald Trump, telling people to ignore what they saw with their eyes and heard with their ears.
So during the impeachment trial, you had one of the most memorable lines, Congressman, and it was a quote, "I'm not afraid of Donald Trump running again in 4 years. I'm afraid he's going to run again and lose because he can do this again." I just noted a Quinnipiac poll at the top of the show, Congressman Lieu, that said 75% of Republicans want Trump to continue to play a big role in the GOP. He sees that. I don't know if you just saw, he had people today in Palm Beach, cheering him on as he drove by, saying, "We all know you won." That's what he heard today from some supporters. Do you think he's emboldened now that he got acquitted again?
I do not. An overwhelming majority of the House concluded Donald Trump incited an insurrection, as well as an overwhelming majority of the Senate. In any other context, 57 votes to 43 is not close. And recent polling also shows an overwhelming majority of the American people, 58%, believe that Donald Trump incited an insurrection. It is very hard to run when more than half the country by a large margin believes that you incited a violent attack on our nation's capital.
So you're a prosecutor, as you said, and Mitch McConnell, when he gave his speech, which, it was the best of his career, then of course he voted to acquit. But his speech was damning, right, in terms of what he said about Trump. But what he said when he voted to acquit was he noted, we have a criminal justice system in this country, and Trump has not been held accountable yet, implying that was the forum in which he felt Trump should be accountable. However, inciting insurrection is a very steep climb in a criminal courtroom. You're a former prosecutor. As a lawyer, do you think that everyone missed the one chance that they would have to hold him accountable?
Well, let's take a step back and think how remarkable Mitch McConnell's statement is. This is a leader of Republicans in the Senate basically saying that criminal prosecutors should investigate Donald Trump. Yep. Essentially, he's one step away from saying lock him up. And that is a remarkable statement. Now, we do, in fact, have a prosecutor investigating Donald Trump's conduct in Georgia. When Representative Raskin, Cicilline, and I were drafting an article of impeachment, we thought it was important to include what Donald Trump was trying to do to steal the election in Georgia. And now we have a prosecutor looking into that very fact.
All right. Well, Congressman Lieu, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.